Welcome to the Tattoo Now show on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. This is now going out live so that, we'll let us know in the comments. This should be out on the YouTubes and on LinkedIn, maybe even on the Facebooks and such. I guess we're going to find out. We're going to find out soon. Oh, you know what? Let me click on. Now we're going out on Facebook. I'm going to click another button. See, this is why we test. Okay, save. It's on now. Yep. Okay. So, like I said, welcome to the Reinventing the Tattoo, where tattooers, artists, apprentices, collectors, and the curious all join in these live streams, real world events, and whatnot. We have special guest Liorcifer, who's been tattooing for a long ass time. I think he learned in Israel like 2 or 3 decades ago, and then came over to the States. He's got a lot of awesome stories about meeting artists in the mid '90s, early '90s. I mean, I guess we'll talk to him and let him date himself. But in the meantime, this is the Tattoo Now show. It's halfway through our Tattoo Now business roundtable that we do every Wednesday at 11. Well, sometimes we go live with our special guests. So I'm going to bring in everyone. Oh, first, I'm going to bring in Liorcifer here. And okay, so if anybody has any questions, comments, or anything, feel free to put them into the chat rooms or to the comment sections or whatever you're watching on. And after a quick little interview, we're going to bring on the rest of the roundtable. Click on your videos and join the discussion. So in any event, Liorcifer, thanks again for joining us. You hit me up about your book a little bit ago, and no, I guess I'm excited to talk about your new book. But let's get started with a little bit of background. I remember being aware of you from apprenticing with Paul Booth days. From I guess it must have been the early '90s, mid '90s. It all gets blurry.
No,
But tell us how you got started
not
here.
that old yet. No, I hooked up with Paul in 2000. I started tattooing as soon as I started apprenticing at 16. That
Okay.
was '90s. I turned 18 in January '95, and that's when I started tattooing.
So, and that's in Israel.
That's in Israel.
Yeah. So was there like a crazy tattoo culture there that you were like immersed in, or like was it like
So the crazy culture there, not any tattoo. No, absolutely
huh,
not. Nah, like you said, with my book, I tattoo going on almost 30 years now. And again, from Israel to Europe, which in Israel, same thing. We were taught up a little more the European way with the fine line and the whole approach of it. And I moved to the US, that's a whole ball game. Um, no, yeah, it definitely, you see it change from one place to another, from anywhere from the reaction to it. There was no culture. Like you get to be so maybe 5 artists in the whole country. I get to start tattooing. I get the thing when you'll hear this worldwide back then. It's like, A, when you're getting a real job. B, if you're a real artist, why don't you have like art shows, that kind of shit.
yeah.
Tattooers was not like a career choice. It's kind of like, so you want to be a semi-criminal still, it's
Yeah.
not really. So it is what it is. No, I just, you watch it change with the years, but the attitude,
So
was the same.
you were paving some new ground there. Then people if when you were tattooing, how many was it
Look,
almost five when you were tattooing?
I got really, really fortunate. We're talking again like mid '90s. Bringing you back, same thing. And again, dude, I also smoked weed for 30 years. I just wrote this freaking book, so I actually remember it now in semi order.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Doing this, um, you talk about mid '90s. That's all that's needed to say. Kind of like Google it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the whole connotation to like, okay, so now MTV is starting to kick, blah 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 blah. But because the time I started, I also got the big boom in Israel. Meaning, for a minute there, we were semi okay. Not really. Again, we're still criminal ish,
Huh.
but a lot more people are getting small tattoos. I'm an apprentice. Perfect thing for any apprentice. I was banging out, and I happened to work for the one guy that was really better than anybody else in the middle of Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
So that big boom came, and then from Anthony Kiedis and the armbands, that I have something like that too from that era.
Sure.
Our idea of viral before there was viral, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I kind of got to ride that way. You know what I mean?
Well,
From this, I joined in Europe a little bit more. So it was a little bit more than because when I first started even looking to tattoos, it was like, you plan on being a criminal? That's like the plan. Well, what's, why else would you do it? So
sure. Like, no, I love metal. No, okay. So I was recently watching the interview you did with Jeremiah Barba, and so that was awesome. And you guys like really got into a ton of stuff. So I would definitely suggest anybody that's watching, check that out, right? Because you go into it's like an hour and a half. It's awesome all the way through
I would
too.
watch. It's his first fucking podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to see more of them when I went back to it. I was like, I mean, I know how hard it is. It's not trivial,
And it was
but
his first podcast. He watches them all the time. We did the interview. And I think it was an in and out for me. So I had to drive out or fly out the day later at noon. So we did a second take at like 7 a.m. I honestly don't remember. My life's been so day to day now that I'm like, what? Oh yeah, that one. It's
wow, it's nuts.
you know,
Well, okay, so let's talk a bit about well, two things. One is I'd love to talk about your attitude about learning, right? So again, from that interview and a couple of the others,
mm,
it's real easy to be like, dreaded up metal pothead guy, right? But like you're really, dedicated to educating and to learning and to making sure that every single day you're using right to better yourself. Oh, well, you tell me about what and how did that come about? I guess is that something that's
honestly, it's funny you said that because one of the people who quoted from my book was Ami. And that's literally what he wrote. And that came out of left field. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know he thought that. And he said something to that extent of like, I've never heard a man that like so dedicated to his craft or something to that extent.
yeah.
Come about, I probably everything again. Like what makes you you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
From where you grew up, your experience, your learning thing, whatever basically made you you. Whether you chose to take and be a criminal or whatever, whether you chose to do this, whether you chose to IT, it's still something that formed you being you, right? On face
Sure.
value. Thinking
Yeah.
back at what? I don't know,
Wait,
dude.
did your parents give you this ethic, or was
What
it
is
like
it?
did you learn? Like, did it come from your parents? Did you learn by trial and error?
I
The
wish I
tattoo.
could tell you anything came from my parents. I don't think everything came from them that they took good care of me and we went to school in the whole 9 yard and dude, my dad's like a truck driver and my mom's a housewife. So this is not like any money to any level.
Sure.
And about 20 years ago, he had an accident, took both his leg off, so now they have a
Mm.
couple of bucks. That's like the extent of my family. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, family's the family. I think, again, when I look in hindsight as an outsider now at a place I grew up and I don't live by choice at, I can judge a lot of things, for what made me what I am or what I was. Like I said in the book in a nutshell, after 47 years, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of PTSD. But I grew up with people, and again, don't want to be the old guy saying it, but dude, they used to make them better. At least for me, for a dude of Israel that lives in New York. So no offense to anyone. In my brain, it made sense to me. People believed in something, they were willing to give their life for it. People believe in something, they work for it. My dad still drank like the rest of most of our dads. So what? He still woke up at 5 in the morning and went to work. He deserved his freaking
Mhm.
drink. It was not a big deal. You know what I mean? I look up to that, and again, I grew up in a place that people survived all sorts of shit in Europe before, and then like all these people
Sure.
go to wars. And I guess in hindsight, when I look into this and one thing or another, yeah, that was nothing better than me. My grandparents lived okay in Palestine, still volunteered to go to Europe and fight the Nazis with the British Brigade.
Hmm.
So for me, people like that,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, dude, you got me. You showed me in real life. It is what it is. This is why I did my apprenticeships. This is why anything. It's like I think we all still pay our dues. As far as an artist, dude, if you're gonna ever think you're done learning, you're missing the whole point.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's again, there's so much more to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I
absolutely. And we have a limited amount of time here, right? Like, why else would we? How else? What better way to spend our time? I think really than trying to figure out how to understand a little more, be a little more, push a little more, do a little more, a little
would
better, maybe
think
not more.
you would think, and again, I am not gonna lie to you. I did this for 30 years, and about 10 years ago, for a minute there, I was famous too. Whoop de fucking do. I don't nearly tattoo enough. I don't nearly do one thing or another. I still push. I still do my stuff because that's what I want to do. That being said, I don't know. It's really say it. It is what it is. It's really, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Excuse me. So let's switch gears just a little bit. You've been doing business as a tattooer, like you were saying, for practically 3 decades, right? How do you keep yourself organized, or do you keep yourself organized, or like what is your, what
Organized
does
to
your system look
do
like?
a
Well, like
what?
for tattooers. So the audience is a lot of tattooers. I mean, we have
Yeah.
clients too, but like for the tattooers that are listening, right? Do you have any idea, any good methodologies, or how you do? Are you still doing your books on paper? How you keeping organized your clientele, and how's that rolling these days? Or are you working with a tattoo shop that takes care of all that?
How do I keep it organized? I don't really. I mean, as far as like keeping it on paper, yes, I'm old school enough to keep anything on paper when I can, just in case. No, I'll use any help at this point, from one app to another. Especially if I do like touring or stuff like that, that I really got to keep on top of. Luckily for me, because of the years, most of my clients I know them right now, and that's really the extent of it. If I get new clients, I'll get. It's not really the volume right now that I would need help. In the past, when it was, yeah, no, I'll take all the help I can take. I mean,
Yeah,
if I
cool.
need
Well,
somebody a minute, because what
yeah,
you said as far as keeping it, how do I keep? I don't. Another artist that obviously don't. You
uh,
know, like I've said a few years ago, I was married to a couple of tattoo artists before. Everybody needed Sharon fucking Osbourne. It's literally as simple
uh,
as that. As an artist, and I hate to admit it, this is the best case scenario. Somebody who believes in you, somebody like that. Alex Gray is doing it. They're all like, I'm like, man, you people are really, really fortunate to. It's like everything else, like your inspiration, like everything. It's everything comes together. So
yeah.
no, you do whatever you can. And on top of that, as far as the shop running it, I work for shops that rent it. That's lovely if the shop is really that professional and they're on top of their shit.
Yeah, so where are you? So I guess let's jump to that part. Like, where are you working these days? How can people get a hold of you, or what's your working scene like?
I am working with Hustle Butter Gallery.
Oh, awesome! Right in New York.
Yep, the Hustle Butter guys. Yeah, I've been with them for
Awesome.
about a year now. We just opened. They just opened this studio a couple months ago, so we're right on Crosby now. That's basically right off like Broadway and Houston. It's a very main place in East Village, or in Soho actually. But yeah,
Awesome.
it's a really nice space. They do art shows. It's like a gallery now too, and yeah, everybody that works there, even the guest artists, just really such a cool vibe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, and there's that's fun, and and you've been in the city for well. We'll talk about your travels a little bit, right? So well, I'm bringing everybody else from the roundtable on. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to like raise your hand or just hop on in or let us know. Um, but let's talk about conventions a bit. You were talking about how I remember on that other podcast, you were talking about some of the conventions. Let's talk about some of the importance or maybe some of the good things that have come out of the conventions and networking with people.
the good thing came out of conventions.
Yeah. Presuming
Uh,
anything good's come from tattoo conventions.
well, again, it's obviously a very much night and day nowadays of what it means. When I started tattooing, yeah, no, there wasn't barely any conventions. The only way, I mean, to really get your shit out there to an international crowd or to anyone out there, you have to physically go and show them your stuff, show them your portfolio. Same way with tattoo magazines. Even if they saw in tattoo magazines, if they didn't see your portfolio, didn't see you, again, meet you in a convention because business is business. And yes, if you're a dick, they'll still cockblock you. But yeah, just again, I'm old school enough. I like the face value and everything. That being said, first convention I did, Dunstable in '95. I got tattooed by Bugs there. I wasn't tattooed. I was tattooed.
Oh,
Yep.
awesome.
Tattooed.
95. It's like classic.
Yep. I was like tattooing only for 8 months. When the guy I worked for, Avi from Israel, he got me into the APTA, the Association of Professional Tattoo Artists, because again, you could not order gear back then unless you're a part of them. That was run by Love Party. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I walked as an 18-year-old kid from Israel. Since I'm 16, people look at me because of my tattoos and long hair. That's like definitely criminal, definitely drug addict, and weed's not drugs. Um, and like all this shit. I walk into a fucking place with 3,500 people, everybody family. And this is me from Israel. I never met Hell's Angels before, but everybody were cool. Everybody looked at your tattoo because they like it, and now they home from day one. This is what convention has been. You know what I mean? It's like, should you go there? There's tons of information. There's tons of everything. Most connections and guest spots I ever got had nothing to do with who the fuck I am. It's people I met at the after party or people I meet outside smoking.
Yep.
I again, and I don't want to say it was better or not better. Who gives a fuck? Yes, in the '90s and the '80s, I just Shotzi Gorman's interview the other day. That was another one.
Shotzi with Joe. Yeah.
Dude, oh my god, I can listen to this guy for like the rest of my life. But even when I got into it, it used to be tattoo family, not an industry. It was a little more like a motorcycle club scenario on how everything was treated. So it was a little different. Again, for me to go to convention, there's for me to go to family reunion, basically, in some
Yeah.
low
I love
city.
that word
I
family so loaded. Sorry, I don't mean to like freak out, or not freak out, but like whenever anybody's like, yeah, it's like family, I'm like, oh shit, man, you must have had a different family than I did, man. Like my family, like growing up, fucking dysfunctional. I don't talk to my fucking parents. I mean, I talk to my mom kind of, but I'm like, man, this shit's wet. Like I don't want to. Now the family I made is pretty cool. I'm like
I
looking
mean,
down with that.
I mean, look, I'm really. When you read my book, you'll see too. If you know what I sound like, this is why I put freaking emojis in it. I'm so reading between the lines, same way when I talk. I mean, family, because of exactly that. Dude, I called
Yeah.
myself normal the other day. I used terminology
Nice.
not by like, obviously I didn't mean it. Like, yeah. So, yeah. I found, which is
Hey,
even more of your pain point. I wasn't abused by my family, but I also wasn't I'm like, dude, I didn't choose them, right? They chose me. That's it, is what it is.
yeah. Yeah.
This was like, oh, this is what family's supposed to feel like, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair
And that's
enough.
what
Yeah,
I mean
yeah,
by
yeah.
family. I was like, people that I can communicate with. People that look at my tattoos and don't go, prison. They go, dude, talk to this guy, and
Yeah.
it is what it is, with the years. Yeah, conventions, they serve their purpose. It's a little, nowadays I go to hang out with my friends. That's really the extent of it more than anything. If I'm busy, so be it. That's awesome. But I'm not as well known as anymore. So yeah, but a freaking book so I can get more work.
Perfect. Hey, so we have some raised hands here, so let's get some questions in. And if there's anybody that's watching online, feel free to ask away in the comments, and we'll post them up. Kenny, do you want to? I think you're unmuted and you're on here. Oh no, you got to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah. So speaking on connections, so how important do you feel like networking is, and then also pairing that with like being open to other people's perspectives? Because I haven't went to a convention. Well, I haven't worked at a convention yet, but that is something in my goals for this coming up year. I just want to hear some more stuff on that.
It's two very different things, what you just said. As for how many, like as far as people perspective, 100%, just don't put anyone on a pedestal. I like definitely listen to anybody or whatever level. Again, yeah, to some, you don't have to listen to some tweaker, but you listen to what they tell you, what it is. You in my opinion, what they taught me is like, dude, you're always gonna learn. Whether you're gonna learn what to do, what not to do, what not even to say, or whatever the fuck they told you. Who cares? You know what I mean? There's like any idea, not a problem. As far as the connections or making connections, that's really up to you. There is no right or wrong here. There is no, you know what I mean? That's kind of like a lot of people like, do I have to do it? As I said before, yes, you literally had to do it. If you ever wanted your ass in a magazine, you had to go to meet the people of the magazine that happen to be there for the one convention a year and hope that they think your shit is cool enough and talk to you, or somebody you know will talk to them vicariously or whatever the fuck. You wouldn't really catch them on the message boards because none did. We're tattoo artists. We caught up a little later. So, you know, they did exist back then. I'm not that old, but we just didn't give a fuck. So yeah, no, as far as the connection stuff, that's up to you. Back then you had to, in order to get again to your clientele, to you know, even back then you had to go on tour if you're a band. Nobody was downloading your shit down the fucking globe. You know what I mean? So, you know, I have my different same thing. When I look at bands like Iron Maiden, like shit like that, I'm like, dude, those guys did their legwork. Like every day, they did a lot of shit. So that's as far as connection. You know, nowadays, dude, that's up to you. That's literally up to you. You do you. You want to be the artist that never leaves. You're happy at home with your wife, with your kids. Must be nice. I heard about that feeling. I tried that. It didn't work. I went back to the grind. I went back to doing this and paying up the ass for living in New York City. So as far as that, yeah, for me, connections were awesome. So I can live like a semi-rock star, even with $1 to my name. For other people, no, who cares? You know. At the end of the day, the tattoo artist, not for nothing. Aside from my mumbling, who gives a fuck? Keep focused on your tattoos. It's really like your tattoos, your clients. Who gives a fuck who's better than you, who you're better from? I stand for a couple of things as we do about how we feel about one thing or another. But dude, you still really want your first tattoo on your hand. As I told you, it's a piece of shit idea. We're still gonna hook you up. At least you'll have a nice one. That's all I can do at this point. So, you know.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
James, you have your hand up next.
What is it?
Your virtual hand up next.
Well, hey, yeah. So, I was just curious, and I don't want to put anybody in an uncomfortable spot. But again, I like what you just said about you know, how I don't know, there's a certain, you know, responsibility or the role of the tattoo artist as guiding people, you know, helping people realize, you know, facilitate stuff for them for their, I mean, for lack of a better, you know, like non-cliche word, like their journey, right? Like fucking journeys, you know, people have them. And you know, there's maybe experiences that a tattoo artist brings. But what I wanted to ask you, is your name Liorcifer? It seems very close to the word Lucifer, the name Lucifer. And I was curious, is this more of like religious expression? I don't know if we'll go that far, or more of like your, you know, sort of identifying with a certain type of spirituality that you have. So in the Gnostic tradition, the Gnostics reverse the, you know, the binary that Christians sort of go with, right? Like, so in the Gnostic tradition, Yahweh is actually the bad deity, and Lucifer, the light bringer, is the one who, you know, brings enlightenment to the world. And I was just curious, are these things that you are you thinking about those as you're deploying this name and
thinking about them? No. Everything you just said, yes, I'm well aware of it. I've read, I grew up in Israel, so I read the Jewish Bible, and then by choice, I read all the other Bibles. And like you said, everybody's opinion in the world. No, buddy, this is all like one big fucking game. I don't believe in anything. I believe more than me, you, and another million people have enough power in us to manifest a lot of shit. It starts with one telekinesis person. Trust me, we have a lot of power inside of us. That being said, those are lovely stories, and it really helps people at times. I have no issue with religion. I have an issue with the organization. And as somebody who grew up in Israel and blew up in the name of their loving God, I don't stand for much in life. I'm a tattoo artist. I'm an old school metalhead. I'm an old school skater. I was fortunate. I started tattooing when blah blah blah. I did art shows to shut them up, and here we are in the renaissance of tattooing, and you people even know who the fuck I am. This is all surreal to me. Who brought this to me? Satan, God, da da da. No. Lior in Hebrew means bringer of light. Or means light, Li means to me. Now, this is not a religious thing. I was born Hanukkah, so it's as simple as that. Lior, Lucifer, bringer of light, who brought what to what? It's all a lovely story. I don't really give a fuck. I moved to the US. Everybody goes, Leroy. I'm like, no, Lior. Nobody could get it right. This girl can read in my book. This girl wrote it on the wall one day or whatever. This thing we used to put our names for who was working that shift. She changed it to Liorcifer, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah!" And that was it. It's as simple as that. Rest is history. And I'm like, everywhere I go in the world, like Lucifer, I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude! I can live with you like mistaking me for Lucifer." Because again, like the boys from Slayer and the rest of it, and the guys that really burned your churches that I tattooed in Norway. None of us did it. We're a bunch of atheists. But for all the people that believe in a God and what it represents, to some extent, again, I'm not talking about people that just justifyingly just doing it for good reasons. For anyone to believe enough to me, representing myself as something related to Satan is enough for them to keep away from me. Fuck yeah, keep away from me. Same way, when we start getting tattoos, same shit. Anybody in society back then, they're read by the cover and already judged me as a criminal. You kind of just did me a favor to go to the whole fucking blah, blah, blah until we both realized you're a dick. So that's what tattoos did for me. That's what me being Lucifer is doing for me. And yeah, do I believe in anything? No, but take a look around you, dude. If you really want to believe in something, I don't know what great God is doing this shit show we've been living in for the last hundreds of years. So, you know.
I know. I think that's it's very well put, and I think the interesting thing is those signifiers, like Satan, or even tattoos for that matter. They do attract fellow travelers, right? So it's just it's an interesting sort of like again, like there is the nihilism that you spoke about. Don't believe in anything except for us, right? This
I believe
collective
in
spirit of us is the
exactly.
thing that we can believe in, I think. And I
Not
so I
the
agree.
government. I believe in my face value, dude. It's as simple as like I can connect to that. I've seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's again, it's like everything else. We got carried away. You know, it's like we started with a good idea and we had to get carried away, and there's where we are. At the end of the day, no. When I mean, I don't mean the only. My mom's always saying, "Why, if you're an atheist, why Satan?" And I was like, "Cause that's the one thing I stand for in life." Like fuck you to the shit show that like I grew up in a country of like three of the biggest fucking religions of the most loving God all think is home. Everybody cried every day, shitty things, they all kill each other. And I was like, really? This is what we're doing here? This is how we're gonna sell this? But you guys don't see this even back then. No matter how many phone cameras, you still don't see the shit show. Again, not my problem, not my shit, dude. I didn't choose to be born there. I did, and I got the fuck out for that same reason. And I'm like, sorry, like I have better shit to do in life. And again, that's why I'm like, yeah, no, I'm in America. All good now.
I
I'm
love
really,
the focus. Oh, sorry, James. Like I just want to
yeah.
say the focus on tattoos and the clients, right? Like
Oh
tattoo. I
wait,
mean, it's an amazing privilege. Like you're able to, right? And if you just focus on doing better tattoos on your clients
dude.
every day, like all the other stuff falls away.
You know, I came from, it wasn't a small town, it was still a city, but small enough. Again, that whole country used to be 4.5 million people when I grew up there. Um,
Half of New York, right? Well, half.
in Israel. Wow, what?
That's like a little bit more than half of the population of New York and the whole country.
Something like
Great
that. And I
city.
with like 100,000 people a few minutes from Tel Aviv. But yeah, basically, the amount of people, the amount of exposure here, it's really. I don't really know how to say it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep losing. I'm like going
Like
in.
this,
My head
yeah, the
is going
scale is.
in
Oh,
direction.
it's all good.
Down like where the fuck did I start this? God
Yeah, the scale of the country is crazy, right? Like a lot of Europe, and I've noticed this with some of my other friends, right? Like Alex de Pace in Italy, right? Like he's like more famous. He's like I don't know. Like I mean, I'm a computer geek, so I don't know like wicked famous people in America for better or worse. But he's like a really famous person in America. They make like hip hop songs about him, right? And it's like so there's there's hip hop song. It's like my love for you, baby's more real than an Alex de Pace. I don't even think they say Alex de Pace tattoo. They're just like you're more real than an Alex de Pace. He's like a brand, but like Italy's not a state, right? So it's like being like the most famous person in like Oklahoma or something. Or,
yeah, it's a
but I mean, no, sorry, I take that back. I did not, and I did not. Or if it came across that I was comparing Italy and Oklahoma, there's absolutely zero comparison there. No offense to Oklahoma necessarily, but Italy is fucking wonderful, beautiful, like completely different. I yield the floor. I'm losing my train of thought now too.
Depends how you look at it, dude. I love Oklahoma.
I also love
anywhere
Oklahoma.
in
I'll drive
America.
back and forth and back and forth. I don't like to eat in Oklahoma necessarily as much, but I do. I found places.
I go in Middle America. It's the same like South Italy. It's a little more real people, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I can relate on that level that I'm like, nah, this is really I can deal with this. So
yeah, to be clear, I love traveling everywhere too. I'm not trying to disparage anybody. I love driving across Oklahoma. I'll do it again. Anybody needs a car driven across back and forth, look me up. I'll do it.
yeah, it's again like about connections. If you do want to do this, that's the beauty of the tattoo world. You know what I mean? That's like you are granted again, and I keep mentioning this as a little kid from Israel that everything was a bit more of a mission. I'm like, dude, really? You granted an opportunity to go tour, and you have friends around the world, and you have this, and you have that, and it's like, why wouldn't you do it? But again, it's not for them. A lot of it has to do maybe at what age you did start or not. I say the same about going into mosh pits. I got the same about people like, aren't you too old? And I'm like, you know what? When I was 16, I saw somebody my age. I'll say the same exact thing. And here I am. And in hindsight, no, guess I'm not too old. This is what we're doing now. But I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to be the one to tell you no. So, same shit.
Awesome. We got another hand up here.
Hey, it's Leighton here. I'm like really interested in some of the stuff that you said, and you were talking about kind of networking earlier. I'm curious, being when you were coming up, like I feel like there's a stigma now where like some tattoo artists, especially where I'm from, are like just in competition with everyone, other artists and stuff. Like they don't want to be friends or they don't want to talk about things. And there's a lot of that going on. Like, what was your approach? How did you even network? Especially without like, we have all this internet and crazy stuff to connect us now, social media. Like how did you do it?
It's like a whole different kind of podcast discussion. It's going to sound like some crazy conspiracy shit. But the reality of the psychology of where you are now, where I am back then, on just the brain level, what we're feeding, dude. I do social all the time too. This is a different scenario. Back then, that wasn't the case. This is what I mean by like, and this is not even before that. Even when you hear about this or that of people burning each other's shop, yeah, but in reality, there was not enough tattoo artists or industry. It was more family, and like I said, it was like motorcycle club. If you're Hell's Angel or you're pagan, you might hate each other, but the First thing you see is like, you're just like me, buddy. We're both fucking bikers, first and foremost. Tattoo world used to be the same shit. So I come from Israel working with one guy, knowing the other 2.5 people in the country. And of course, nobody talks to anybody because it's literally 5 people across the whole country. Meet 2.5 people throughout this, the ones in Europe. And then I moved to Miami. And that's fucking South Beach alone had like 5 shops, 3 people per shift. That's about 30, 40 tattoo artists to hang out with every day. And after gets go, yeah, of course we're all friends. We're all tattoo artists. There's still only 40 of us in South Beach. You know what I mean? It's like the amount of you will bring you together. The same thing I grew up in Israel. There wasn't like metalheads and punks and blah, blah, blah. We had to stick together. We were not 1%. We were 0.001%. So at least you stuck to the other punks. Same shit used to do with tattoos. You know, I think it's got all these diversity now. I think a lot of things have gone this way, and not for nothing. You know, I'm not going to be the old guy to bitch about it, but in the name of progression, we've gone a little backwards, to say the least. So, how to do it and whatnot? Honestly, nowadays, go to conventions. It's still like there's a lot of shitty ones nowadays. It is what it is. We just did the New York one, which, not gonna lie to you, I was kind of like against for quite a few years. I don't really find it that much. You know, it's not the kind of style convention that I used to like. Worked it a few years for one guy, another this year I worked with Hustle for one day, rest of the 2 days. I was hanging out. I was there every day, all day, hanging out with my friends, watching, meeting some other kids, some other new artists, seeing their shits, meeting all sorts of potential clients, all sorts of people make fucking whatever, you know. But I would suggest your best bet for any connection, this very much, you know. Get a couple of like bigger conventions, and again, dude, seminars are still fucking awesome. I hold very dearly to what I give to the table. I jump on my friends' seminars at any given time when I can. You know, Ralph Newman told me he'll give me a personal seminar if I go to Germany, so I'm definitely taking it with that one.
Fuck yeah, Ralph's fucking brilliant.
I know, fuck him. Seriously, I can't even think in those terms, but I want to. Again,
he breaks out with eye loops. This is a Ralph Nonviler, and sometimes he'll break out with the eye loops, and then he'll be like, "Yeah, there's a reason why his stuff works."
Dude, not for nothing. I used to make fun of Anil Gupta 20 years ago for the same shit. Same loops. Yeah. I'm like, the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, seriously. And it was funny because I was like glad I knew Gupta. It wasn't funny in my head. That tattoo did not survive, obviously. But you know, yes, the loops and everything. No, Ralph is an incredible artist, but my brain cannot work like this. But like I said, dude, that's what a lot of young artists are missing nowadays. When it's like, oh, I do this. I don't fuck what you're doing, dude. Who cares what you're doing? I can watch any artist. Because they still need outline, they still need a shade, they still need to put in color. You break it down to the essentials, I'm like, I still need to know what the fuck is going on here. Is there something I'm missing? Is there something new? This is not per style, so watching Ralph will be a good one. I'm sure there'll be a couple of things I'll be like, oh, that's what it is, you motherfucker. It's like one little trick in the book.
Yeah, it's like that. I remember he did a black and gray week. So it was like 5 days. There was a different black and gray seminar each week. And it was one of those events we did for like, fucking 5 people or something, right? It was like, oh my God, all this work. But you know what? All 5 of those motherfuckers are sick black and gray tattooers. And, it's just a matter of, to your point, just meeting people in real life, right? And so, and again, part of what hasn't changed, right? Even though there's the internet, right? If anything, the internet and social media helps make all of the real world actual interactions that were evolved to actually have, more fruitful in the back end, right? So like I'm often recommending people think of social media as like, you're tattooing your people and you have your fans and whatnot. You're reaching out to them on the back end via your social media. But like the new people, wait, I don't even know where I'm going now. Now I'm getting lost again. New people are
how you moderate it, right? I mean, look, to answer all this, and not in relation, because this is also probably about 12 years ago, not nowadays. A lot of artists that came in the next generation after me, right? And they're already famous. They're already starting to be really famous. Carlos Torres, Nico Hurtado, it's amazing black and gray artist. I keep forgetting his name. He's gonna kill me. The guy used to work with he's in Arizona now. Anyways, next generation, the few people. When I first met them, and again, they could have already been like very potentious and famous. And again, if you read my book, you'll see I met a lot of people before I was Liorcifer. And then I met the same people after I was. So I know where everybody stands, which is lovely. But dude, those artists that I met, each and every one of them, there was a no pedestal, sit down and listen. They're like, man, I used to love your shit. I looked up to you. And they're very respectful. They listen to what I say the same way I do to other people, especially if they're longer in it with me. So seeing all literally handpick each and every one of those artists that was that humble and was that good, they're all very successful now. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. You guys deserve it. Because this is not how much, and dude, they have millions of followers, but they deserve it. I have seen how they did it. And it's like, again, I've seen them on face value. And when I see them now, they still fucking stop. It doesn't matter what show they're on or whatever. So, you know what I mean? It does translate to that at the end of the day of how it's done. But again, yeah, I'm a firm believer of meeting people. You know, except the internet will open those doors, which is great, but you will have to follow through on the whole, showing.
Yeah. Oh, well, and that's where I was going with before is like, it's even better, right? Like when you meet people in person, if there's a seminar at a tattoo shop and there's 20 people there and you're like exchanging cards and shaking hands and actually introducing yourself, then all of those future internet interactions are that much more valuable, right? So then all of a sudden, it's not just like someone's following your Instagram, it's like they're following their Instagram, but they were at that fucking bar, or coffee shop or whatever it might be, right?
No, it's really night and day. Yeah, it's really, really night and day when you meet people in real life and be like, that's who you are.
Like, yep. Well, and I love, so let's talk about the book just a bit here. So we've got about, I don't know, like 5 minutes and then we'll be running up on the hour, but we've hinted at the book, but we haven't dove into it and told people how to support it.
How to support it.
First, how did it come about? First, how did it come about? How are you doing it? There's a lot of self-motivated artists, on this call and or watching, and I know that it's not easy, right? So yeah, let's hear the story about it, and then
about. There's really nothing to it, because I'm not busy enough. Like as a tattoo artist, especially when you travel, same way like every musician will tell you, or any one of us really, even as tattoo artists, which is why you got reality shows, because they're like, man, you guys go through all this cool shit and blah blah blah. And again, not gonna fucking talk about it. In the 90s and other eras, the shit that we got away with was pretty fucking awesome. So people are like, man, you should write a book about it, because that's what people, that's the people like curiously got married and they're not gonna do it, but maybe they will in their dream. So you're being told all the time, write a book, write a book. After a million years on the road, after everything, last year was the worst year in fucking tattooing. I think I was like internationally, really, we all got hit. So I don't tattoo nearly enough. So I'm doing all sorts of side projects. I try doing casting. I try doing shooting for press, whatever the fuck on the side. And of course, selling my art. And I go, hey, I have time. Maybe I'll write a freaking book like everybody keeps telling me. So I wrote a book. That's it. It took 3 months to write the book and about a week on Photoshop for doing everything else. Now it's all edited, everything. I'm getting the final edit on Saturday, and Sunday I will put this shit to print.
Okay, well let's hear like the second or the third tier highlight, right? Don't tell us the best pieces parts, but let's hear what are some of your favorite stories that you're remembering?
My favorite stories of remembering?
No, your second or third favorite. So there's still a reason to get the book.
I honestly can't even think what's like favorite or not. My favorite, like I told you, is in hindsight. My favorite is when you're done writing all this. And dude, I'm not a happy person. That's why I keep making fun of myself in the book. I love the fact that they let me keep my emojis in there. I'm really, when I talk, I'm pretty funny and sarcastic. But yeah, The thing in the book is to look in hindsight about your life. It's very cathartic to look about, to finally judge it 30 years later as your eyes now. Now, after all these experience, can you, Gabe, sit here and be like, here's the first convention I tried to do. It was in high school at Five Guys convention for paper mache. It doesn't matter. When you write it and then it's in front of you, you're like, huh, you know, my favorite, I can't think of a favorite story. My favorite little mention that wasn't even supposed to be in the book. I went to see my boy at Ink the other day, and Bob Marley's daughter was getting tattooed, and she complimented my hair. I got home, and this Jew boy from Israel, a truck driver, like the simple people that didn't even have music at home. I'm on the cover of bands I got into in fucking trouble for the satanic scare in the 90s in Israel. I tattooed other bands that did all sorts of like da 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 da. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, this is it. This is like her and her kid are like, man, nice dreads. I'm like, wow. But like, how crazy did life become? I just watched your dad in a movie the other day. It's like,
Yeah, awesome.
So I can't tell which exact story. I wish I could tell you. It does touch on everything. It touches on like looking back at skateboarding and what it used to be, looking back at tattoos, at art, as being a kid with fucking just long hair, going through the satanic scare, going through this and that. And again, that's in a war semi-torn Israel, where when you move from there, you realize why none of this is okay. This is not cool.
Right.
That's in a nutshell what it is. And again, people told me to write a freaking book. I wrote a freaking book. At the end of the day, I just want people to know who I am and come get that too for fuck's sake.
Awesome. Now, how do they do that? Is it it's self-published, but so people can go to the website? Is there
it's self-published? I don't really have any links other than on my social, I believe. I don't even think I have it on my website, but I don't think there's a link. Honestly,
Instagram's Liorcifer_Infernum.
Yes.
If it's going across the screen right now, so people can see it.
Yeah, that's
not the Zoom screen, the stream screen.
Yeah, there's post there with everything. If not, you could just message me. I have like Venmo, Zelle, all this shit. Yeah, that's pretty much the only place to reach it. If not, Liorcifer.com has a thing to email me, but I'm pretty reachable. And if not, if for some reason you still can't get a hold of me, go to Hustle Butter Tattoo Gallery, mention my name, and they'll get a hold of me. So yeah.
Awesome. And then last thing, I guess, if there's any other questions or comments, now's the time, but we're running up on the time. I am excited to. I know that I'm not sure if you guys have quite connected with Alex about the Venetian show, the Icons and Prodigies, but
he haven't hit me up yet.
Well, I talked to him this morning. He said he hit you up yesterday, so let's make sure those connections happen because
I didn't see anything from. Oh, motherfucker! +39 is Italy, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Tell him to hit me up again. I deleted it because I'm like all scammed up the ass on my phone, on my emails, on everything.
Awesome. That's why I still have a gig.
Yeah.
So I can talk to you about it right now. I'm like, hey, everybody, if you need any sort of management, no.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll hit it up because that show is going to be in Venice, Italy. Speaking of Europe,
don't hit me up. I usually go to Italy to see my friend in Bologna, like at least once or twice a year. I honestly, dude, I've been stuck in New York and I love it. Like I've actually brought it to. Well, I did it last year too, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do one big tour, go for like a few weeks at a clip. Alex, yeah, that's next year, dude. Let's see if I'm alive.
Awesome.
I'll commit for now. I'll commit to the show, but this is like I live day by day. Like 1 year from now,
we all know. Yeah, we all know it's like one of those half the tattooers are like, I can't make plans, a year from now, and the other half are like, I have to make plans a year from now.
I wish. I was like, yeah, I work for people like that. Must be nice. I mean, not really. I'll never book more than 3 months, but
that's about right.
Must be nice. Yeah, a year in advance. No, that's a bit. The only guy I gave yes year in advance was Tintin.
Uh-huh.
Because that's a convention I wanted to do and I couldn't back then. And then when he brought it back, I'm like, and invited me, I'm like, yes, like 100% yes. And that was the only one that was
Wow.
like advanced. The
Tintin, he
rest,
tattooed, I think, this neck, this one side of my neck, he tattooed like in the late 90s. So it was one of my first collector tattoos over in Paris. I love Tintin. That guy's
Tintin is the
it's the
man.
first time I ever got stoned at a tattoo shop. I wasn't used to the European spliffs, so it was like I don't know, probably 20 years old or 19, and it took fucking forever. And then after 2 hours of him talking to like everybody else in front of me, we go to start the tattoo, and they roll up this massive fucking joint. I was like, oh my god, and and the tobacco always knocks me out. I could drink for like 20 hours straight. If I have like one little hit of tobacco, I'm out. So like all of a sudden I'm like dizzy, I'm pale white, I'm stoned, I'm on my side, he's tattooing my neck, he's stopping to talk to the lawyers in the middle of the tattoo. I'm like stressed, I don't have enough money. And then I thought he was tattooing stupid American on my neck because I was fucking paranoid. And all of a sudden he's like, I got a beautiful bird on my neck, and he's like $200. You don't need to, you're not going to pay for me to talk to my lawyer. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah,
Like
like that.
amazing. He's great.
Definitely good like that. It's funny you said with his smoking. This is probably why I met him working for Ken and Michelle originally in Florida at their party, and just hear smile or laugh, and I knew exactly what it was. Tintin is like me when it comes to smoking weed, and this is really as simple as that. We've hooked up in the 90s, then we hooked up when he came to Paul's convention. Ever since then, they're like, yeah, no, Tintin, that's an easy one. You'll be around him, you'll get stoned too. Yeah, he's good like that.
Awesome. Fun. Well, that's the well, what's he doing? So he's doing the show in Paris, but I guess they moved it around after COVID. But yeah, anybody that's interested, the Tintin show in Paris is fucking one not to be missed. Although that means I need to take my own advice and try to start booking my tickets for next year.
Been gone for years. Yeah, well, they have now. I don't know what's gonna happen now because they have that Gods of Ink. Because
Yep.
Tintin show the London show used to be that one show you went to hang out with all your friends from around the world. You knew they're gonna be there. It's one of Mickey's shows. Then Paris show became another one of those. Then London stopped. Now they have Gods of Ink. It's the same idea. I haven't done it yet. I'm not that godly, but I don't know if that will affect Paris. You know what I mean? Like how they're gonna go about it.
Yeah, it feels like there's enough room for both of the shows there. I mean, they're both pretty badass places and
I
lineups.
walked away from politics of tattoos many years ago. I don't really, I can like sit here and think about a million reasons why one or another. And I was like, no, it's still Paris. Dude, as any artist, fuck yeah, Paris. It's, any excuse to go to Paris. So on that end, I think they'll maintain it and be good. But it's already after, I can't remember how many years we're going now because I did it from the first one. It's about at least 10 years now, 12 years. So who knows how long they'll maintain it. And again, your economy is hit worldwide. So that's not really going to help anyone either. So
Sure.
we'll see.
Well, it's whenever anybody's like, we'll just get it next year. Like you can't take next year for granted, right? Like the conventions are just like anything else. And, so mental note, fucking get my goddamn tickets for Paris next year.
In a nutshell, after COVID and me being stuck in Europe, coming back here and being technically, I mean, this is why I live now in a room, but technically still couch surfing 3.5 years is exactly that. It's like enough. This is what COVID did to me. Like enough plans for tomorrow, for next year. I literally got on an airplane, came with one suitcase, which I still live from, like 3 years now. Like, yep, we're done. I'm back. I'm coming back here. And then we just went on the road to wherever the fuck I can shoot. And I'm like, enough. I want to see somebody. I've been seeing people after 20 years. So yeah, no, that's no more future plans. Other than that, one year, I guess.
Awesome. Well, one thing that just beeped on my virtual assistant was like, hey, your next meeting is in 1 minute. So and we're at an hour. So this is actually perfect timing. Thanks again for hopping on. Thanks again for the business roundtable for helping me out. And yeah, so just one last real good sign off. I'm Liorcifer. You can find me in New York at
I'm Liorcifer. You can find me in New York at Hustle Butter Tattoo Gallery. And you can find me on Instagram, Liorcifer_Infernum.
Awesome. Thanks again. We'll catch up soon, everybody.